Oh, look, I get asked the question quite often, is this just a trend? Everything starts as a trend, then it becomes entrenched in what we do every day. And I think that's how craft beer is going to go. JC Stain, head brewer at Devil's Peak. How I started was I was involved in the wine industry and always had interest in brewing and craft brewing, and dabbled a little bit at home in home brewing. Then I eventually met guys that were wanting to upscale. We always had the idea of, at that stage when we were brewing in Somerset West, of moving through to Cape Town. And craft beer traditionally has always been entrenched in a place. It's having a sense of place, and it's something that people can identify with. You'll see Devil's Peak, you'll see Brooklyn breweries, you'll see Boston, you'll see Sierra Nevada. They're all linked to a sense of place. And that's quite important for craft brewing. So Devil's Peak was a slightly risque name. It was a little bit on edge. And that's something for us has been from the start, is to always be pioneering. Starting to push the boundaries on Saison. Our barrel-aged beers is something that we're really big on, and there's not many people doing it. It's something really exciting, and it's definitely new in South Africa. Without a doubt, our most popular beer is the First Light. So it's an ale, it's a golden ale. And the reason why it's so popular is because, South Africa we're beer drinkers, but we're actually lager drinkers. We've got a history of drinking lager, and beer is kind of bridging. It's what we often term the gateway beer. It's going to get you across from a lager into the interesting world of ales, and from there you're going to hopefully spread your wings a little bit and find some other avenues of beer. What's very encouraging is the IPA is not very far behind, and our IPA is a totally different beer. It's big, it's hoppy, it's bitter, it's got a higher alcohol, it's got quite a bit of body to it. So it's on the other end of the spectrum, but it's very encouraging for us to see that people are going for our lager crossover into ale, gateway, and then our premium offering, which is very unique and quite in your face. It's not about sales, it's not about how many units we sell, it's about the flavors that we get and trying to get that across to the consumer as well, and having that true passion for craft beer. So if you come up the taproom entrance, you'll see the Bob Dylan sign, the times they are changing. That's exactly what it sums up. For us, things are changing. The days of boring, mass-produced beers are over. Times are changing. There's new things, new beers, new experimentation, and that sums it up.